Hi everyone, my name is Alec Lafuente and today I'll be doing a full biomechanical analysis of the bench press. This is a compound lift that targets the upper body and is commonly used in both athletic and in general fitness training. I'll break down the movement into three key phases: eccentric, isometric, and concentric, and I'll cover the linear and angular motion, forces and torque, impulses and momentum, and finally walk you through a free body diagrams for each of these phases. The bench press has three main phases. First, the eccentric phase. This is when the lifter lowers the bar to their chest. This is also where the chest feels the most growth. Next is the isometric phase, where there's a brief pause with the bar held still above the chest at the bottom. Finally, the concentric phase. This is where the press back up to the start position from the bottom. Each of these phases involves different muscle actions and biomechanical principles, which I'll explain now. So let's start with the motion. The barbell itself moves in a mostly linear path up and down vertically. That's linear motion. But the body, specifically at the arms and shoulders, are also moving in ways that can create angular motion. At the shoulder, we have horizontal abduction during lowering and adduction during pressing. At the elbow, there's flexion during eccentric and extension during concentric. So we're seeing both linear and angular motion working together to complete the bench press lift. Now let's talk about the forces and torque, starting with the eccentric phase. As the bar lowers, gravity is pulling it down. The barbell's weight creates a downward force. The muscles, mainly the pectoralis major, anterior deltoid, and triceps brachii, are resisting that force. They're creating torque to control the descent, but they're lengthening under load. This is the eccentric contraction. This is a key part of strength development because we're applying forces in the opposite direction of the movement, giving us the eccentric phase. During the concentric phase, the lifter pushes the bar up. Now the muscles are shortening as they produce force. This is the concentric contraction. Here, the torque generated by the muscles needed to overcome the torque from the bar's weight. The triceps extend the elbow, and the chest and deltoid muscles generate torque around the shoulder to press the bar up. You could think of torque here as turning force at the joints. Without it, the bar wouldn't move. In the isometric phase, the bar is held still right above the chest. There is visibly no movement, but the muscles are still working hard to keep the bar stable. Here, the force from the muscles equals the downward force of gravity, so the bar doesn't move. It's all about balance. Torque from the muscles matches the torque from the weight. This is critical for control, especially during heavy lifts or pauses. In the bench press, our upper limbs act as levers. The elbow is often third-class lever. Effort is between the load and fulcrum. Torque at the shoulder and elbow joints is essential to complete the lift efficiently. The bench press is a good example of a third-class lever in the body. The shoulder joint is the fulcrum. The effort force comes from your chest and arms, and the resistance is the barbell. Since the resistance is farther from the fulcrum than the effort, this is mechanically inefficient, but it allows for greater speed and range of motion, which is great for athletic power. Let's talk about impulse and momentum. Impulse is force multiplied by time, so during the concentric phase, the longer and harder you push, the more impulse you generate. This increases the bar's momentum. In the eccentric phase, the impulse is negative. It's about slowing down the bar as you control the descent, and that's how we adjust momentum in the system, by increasing or decreasing force and time. Since impulse is force over time, to reverse the bar's direction from eccentric to concentric, the muscles create an impulse. The longer and stronger that impulse is, the more the bar accelerates upward, increasing the momentum. So to break down everything that we talked about, I'm going to go phase by phase and tell you everything that is happening during each phase, starting with the eccentric phase. In the eccentric phase, we are lowering the bar to the chest. The motion that is happening is linear motion. The bar moves in a controlled vertical descent toward the chest. The angular motion is the shoulder and elbow joints that are flexing, causing angular motion around their respective axes. Forces are gravity acting downward on the barbell. The muscular force is the pectoralis major, anterior deltoid, and tricep brachii contracting eccentrically to resist gravity. The ground reaction force is the feet press into the ground, stabilizing the entire kinetic chain and allowing the upper body control. Torque is created at both the shoulder and elbow joints. Shoulder torque resists the downward motion of the bar as the pectorals and deltoids eccentrically contract. Elbow torque is controlled by the triceps slowing down the bend of the elbow. The levers moving here are the shoulder joint functions as the third-class lever, effort between load and fulcrum. Elbow joints is also third-class lever, and both the muscle insertion points is between the joint and the barbell. The impulses is relatively low here because the movement is slower and more controlled. However, eccentric contractions generate a high force over a longer period of time, allowing muscles to lengthen under tension. The momentum is decreasing as the bar moves down. Muscles activation increase to reduce the speed and control descent. Momentum is absorbed primarily by the muscles acting as brakes, preventing the bar from crashing down. Next, we have the isometric phase, the brief pause at the chest, or right above the chest. There is no linear or angular motion occurring. The bar is momentarily held in a static position at the chest before pushing it back up. The forces are muscular force exactly counteracts the downward pull of gravity. Pectorals, deltoids, and triceps are contracting isometrically to hold the bar still. Stabilizing muscles, core, scapular, and scapular stabilizers are also active to prevent any wobbles. Torque is present but balanced. The torque from the muscles counteract the torque created by the weight of the barbell. So no net torque, no movement. The same levers are in play, third class at the shoulder and elbow. The system is in static equilibrium. The net force and net torque are zero. Impulses technically are at zero since impulse equals force times time during a change in momentum. However, you can discuss the potential impulse that's about to occur as the force builds in preparation for the concentric phase. The momentum is at zero, the bar has stopped, so momentum is zero. The athlete is storing potential energy to reverse the movement. Last and definitely not least, the concentric phase, pressing the bar up. For linear motion, the bar moves upward in a near vertical path. The angular motion is extension at the elbow and horizontal adduction at the shoulder. The forces are the muscular force. It must exceed gravitational force to push the bar upward. The prime movers are the pectoralis major, horizontal adduction, anterior deltoid, flexion, and triceps brachii, elbow extension. Opposing force is gravity plus inertia from the weight of the barbell. Torque, we got high torque demand, especially at the sticking point, midpoint of the push. At the shoulder, internal torque from the pectorals and deltoids must overcome external torque from the bar. At the elbow, triceps generate torque to straighten the arm. For the levers, it's still third-class levers, but now the effort of the muscle force must generate a greater torque than in the eccentric phase. The speed of movement can increase, especially near the top. For the impulses, it's high impulses needed to generate upward momentum. Impulse equals force times time, so the lifter increases both muscle recruitment force and the rate of force development to create motion. The momentum, it's increasing as the bar accelerates upward, momentum builds. The goal is to apply enough force to overcome the inertia and continue the bar movement. At the end of the concentric phase, the athlete must decelerate the bar slightly to avoid overextension. So to wrap it all up, the bench press is a great example of how biomechanics connects motion, force, and muscle function. Understanding concepts like linear and angular motion, torque, levers, and impulse helps athletes and coaches train smarter and reduce the risk of injury. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comment section below. Thank you.